Hey everyone, welcome to the February Game a Month video. In this video I'm going to be introducing the stealth game, talk about some of the music that's being produced by SoundZEW, and also some of the concept art that Ray has been producing, and the character model he started working on. I'm a little late this month once again. It's hard to really get the game going at a really good pace each month. You never know what's going to happen, what's going to come up. I've had so many meetings for various businesses this month that so much of my energy and time has been devoted towards that rather than game dev. But I'm happy to have the Game a Month video out, and I'm excited to share the prototype and show it all to you. I wanted to show you two clips of the gameplay. The first one to highlight a few features, and the second one to show an alternative route of finishing the map. So there are a few things happening already. You can walk around, you can sneak around, you can also pick up objects and throw them to distract enemies. If you see when you walk around there's a ring around you, that's kind of just representing that enemies can actually hear you. If you walk up to them and the ring's around you, they will spot you and attack you. That's why I'm crouched right now, and the ring is not around the player. So the whole goal of this game is to eliminate the enemies and get to the exit or steal the device, whatever it ends up being. But the core of the game is the stealth and taking out enemies. And my ultimate goal is to have systemic systems, so a game where the systems affect each other and communicate with one another to create really interesting gameplay and hopefully have really dynamic gameplay, and everyone can have a few different experiences. That's one of my favorite things about games like Zelda Breath of the Wild or Deus Ex and all those games. And they're of course a massive inspiration. So what I'm trying to show off in this clip is just some of the basics of the gameplay, moving around, sneaking, taking out enemies, and how the rings work. In this gameplay clip, I'm just showing off a slightly different route. In terms of the game mechanics that I currently have for the prototype, I'm really happy with them. So enemies actually patrol between points, and they can investigate sounds. They will also attack the player on sight, but there is a grace period of time where you have a few, like a second or 1.5 seconds, where if an enemy does see you, they won't attack you straight away. It's kind of like a detection mode. Oh, and by the way, that's my temporary ragdoll system for dragging, which doesn't really affect the gameplay right now because I can't detect bodies, but it's just, I just put it there because it's a placeholder and I can upgrade it over time. But anyway, back to the main point. I'm really happy with the systems I've developed in terms of being able to crouch and move around undetected, walking around with the ring to visualize your position, obviously placeholder, but really happy with the prototype, to have that kind of square around the player for the prototype. Enemies are assassinated by an attack on the back. If you attack them from the front, it takes quite a few hits, I believe 3. And yeah, that's kind of the gameplay. That's a kind of an explanation. It's what I'm going for, and I'm really happy with the prototype, so I'm excited to see how you all play it. So for the enemy AI, I am using behavior trees, and enemies have a few different states. As I mentioned in the video, as I mentioned before, they can patrol, they can investigate sounds, they can investigate players' last known position, which I refer to as a memory marker. They can also attack the player and engage in combat. And yeah, that's kind of it for the behaviors. And what I'm showing here in the video is the transitions. So enemies have their patrol state, and whilst they're patrolling, they're actively listening out to hear noises that they could possibly investigate. They then go from that state into investigation, and once completed, they'll return to patrol. So they investigate a sound, they wait a few seconds, and you can use that time to manipulate the system. So you can throw an object, you know roughly how long the enemy will wait for, and then you can sneak up and attack the enemy. And that's what that whole system's about. In terms of patrols, it's quite simple. They just move to target points. I also made it so they go back and forward between, so they don't just go from patrol 1, 2, 3 and then back to 1. They go from target point 1 to 2 to 3 and then back to 2 and back to 1. And because I made the arrays in a pretty modular way, you can actually add as many patrol points as you want, which is it's a really nice feature to have. And the other thing that I wanted to show you is how the AI works with combat. So if you have a look here, specifically I want to show you the memory markers. So if you see here, when the enemy sees you for a period of time, they will engage in combat. If they can no longer see you, they will go to the last position they saw you at and they will wait there for a period of time. So of course in the future I'd love to have them patrol the area that they saw you at and then go back to patrol. But at the moment I'm really happy that they do see you and then they patrol, they go to the memory marker location and check out where you are. In terms of how I developed this, I linked in the description an amazing AI tutorial which I was following for a lot of the AI. I've changed it a lot and I've implemented quite a few of my own systems, but it's a really fantastic tutorial series, and if you want to do some behavior tree stuff, it's not too complicated, so check out the link and I think it'll really help. At the start of the video I mentioned I'm working with Ray, so that's Raymond Cripps. I've known Ray for quite a long time now, and he's doing the character art for this game, specifically the enemy soldiers. So on the left, that was his initial sketch for the character and the color scheme, and on the right was his iteration on the character. And I really like this type of enemy soldier, especially with the glowing part on the back. It indicates a spot to hit and attack, and that's the weak part of the soldier. The soldier looks quite strong as well, so it's not exactly a foe you want to run up to with your sword or energy sword. You'd prefer to have a gun to attack this type of enemy. So I like the design, they look strong and powerful, and hopefully that will help persuade the player to not just go front on and try and attack the enemy. It'll put them in a mindset to figure out how they can get an advantage on the enemy and use the environment and the tools available. So yeah, overall, I really like this concept, and Ray is currently doing the modeling, so hopefully in the next video I'll be able to show off the model. I also mentioned SoundZEW before, and SoundZEW is doing all the sound effects, the music, and I really like the background track that he's created for the game. This was his first iteration and it sounds really great. I believe SoundZEW is also working on the ambient sounds and some new sound effects. So sound effects for the player attacking, hitting the enemy, objects being thrown, and all that stuff. So it's really great to work with two other people to get feedback on the project and collaborate and not feel like I have to do everything by myself. So it's really nice to work with them, and I'm excited to see where this game ends up at the end of the month. Thank you all so much for checking out this video. If you'd like to play the prototype, I've put it on itch.io, so you'll be able to download it and playtest it. I'd love to hear how the game was for you and how you defeated the enemies and used the mechanics to your advantage. If you're part of the Patreon, in the game developer tier, the project files are available, so feel free to download those and check out the project. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you all in the next video.